This Visual Designer tool that's also part of the integrated solution allows you to both develop new applications, so new applications where the back end is either RPG or PHP, and it also would allow you to do conversions. And you can see that a lot of the properties, a lot of the widgets are going to be similar to what we had within the Genie refaced environment, and that's what we mean when we say cohesive, because we want the same look. We don't want the user to see a difference between one or the other. So to start building a new application, I would simply start dragging elements from the widgets box onto the canvas. So I can drag any of the elements, and then I can just configure them using this properties window. So that's new development, but in this case, what we really want to do is convert that one particular green screen program to this rich user interface. So I'm going to go ahead and click the Convert button to do this. And what the conversion is going to ask me for is the member name, the original member name of that green screen DDS source. So I'm going to go ahead and select it. You can also see that that I can select something that we call a theme, and a theme is a set of rules that we use to actually do the conversion. And here I've selected the hybrid theme, and it's made to match the hybrid skin within our refacing. So again, this is going to be a cohesive interface so that the user can't tell that there's anything different. And I'll just go ahead and click Convert. So what I get now is a rich user interface. It's an HTML5 format, HTML5, and it's going to, the conversion results are going to show me, what it has done, and did it run into any problems, were there any warnings, and here it just has one informational message about the print keyword. It's really not applicable in a browser environment because the browser has a print button of its own. So we can just go ahead and click OK. So what we have here is this new user interface, and if I were to explore and look around and look at the widgets that have been created for me, I can see that all of the information has been retained. Obviously the print keyword wasn't utilized, but all of the other keywords, all of the other definitions have been brought over into this new user interface. So in the case of a grid or a subfile, you can see that the indicators for clearing the subfiles and all of that have been attached to the subfile here. If I were to look at these hyperlinks here, these used to be function keys, and now they're hyperlinks. And it's possible to configure the theme in several different ways. So for example, this could have been buttons if that's how we configured it. But here these are hyperlinks, and the interesting thing about it is that it does know that when I click that hyperlink, it sends a response indicator 03 to my RPG program. And it's the same thing throughout this entire application. If I click on any field, for example, this category name field, and if I were to look at how this is defined, I can see that, okay, it's brought over the field name, it's brought over the data type, which is character, and the length of 30 was brought over. So there's nothing that's been lost. The definition has been converted into a new, more capable definition, which is JSON and HTML5 format, but we haven't lost anything that we had in the original. If I look through the different record formats, the different screens, I'll pretty much see more of the same. Now, this one is interesting. This is the product features window. It is now going to be able to actually recognize this as a separate window, and I'll be able to drag it around because it will be in a different layer. So at this point, if I wanted to see what this would look like and to deploy this, the steps would be I would save this, and I would save it and compile it. We compile it into an object that we call a rich display file, which is more capable than your typical green screen display file. And then we make a small change to the RPG code. So this right here is the original RPG program. Actually, here is the original one, and then if I switch over to my second tab, this is the modification that we have to do, and you can see that it's only one line of code. We're adding the handler keyword. That handler keyword allows the program to work with RPG Open Access, and RPG Open Access is it's a feature that IBM introduced about 3 years ago or so that will allow us to tie the RPG to a new interface, to a new rich user interface. So by adding this one line of code, we can now run the application within the new interface. So let's go back and take a look at what this would look like when we run the application. And I want you to note that I am still running my refaced, my Genie session. And when I click on this second link here, it has now switched over to a rich display, and I think it's not very noticeable because it looks very cohesive, and this is one of the points that Brian was trying to make. So this is now a new interface. Now at first it looks pretty similar, but there are already some features that have been added automatically by the conversion process. So for example, I can click on any column to sort the information. So this is a very quick way for me to find out what is the highest priced product within this set of data. I can also actually scroll through the data, whereas before I could only page through it. Even though we had the look of a scroll bar, I really could only page through it. Now I can scroll through the information. And if I select a particular product and show the features, you can see that I actually have a window that I can drag around because it recognizes it on a separate layer, and I still have the same sorting capabilities on this particular grid as well. So these are some very simple features that were added automatically when we did the conversion, but the real power comes from being able to go back and then start enhancing the application. So I'll show you first a few simple enhancements. I'm going to switch back over to the Visual Designer, and I'll add an enhancement that is very typical. So what I'm going to do is, instead of having the user put in an option here and hit enter or any of that, we're going to just allow the user to click on the row, and the way that we do this is by setting some properties within the grid. So there are some selection properties, and if I say that I'm going to have row selection as single, that will allow me to select one row at a time, and just by clicking on it. And then I'll assign a selection field. This is the original RPG field, so the opt field in my program is going to be populated, and we're going to populate it with a 1 automatically, with the value of 1 automatically when we click on a row. So this is going to be much friendlier. So once we have done this, this text box is no longer necessary. So we can actually go out here, and we can completely remove that text box. It's no longer necessary. And in fact, I can remove that entire column. But instead of doing that, let me utilize this column to show some additional information. In this case, I'm going to show an image of the product. So to show an image of the product, what I can do is I can make space for it, and then I can just use an image widget, and I'll just put it into the grid. And the real power comes from how do we specify where the image comes from. So in refacing, we didn't really have much flexibility, but now that we have this new interface, we're able to tie this back to any variable or any data in the RPG program. So as we're reading through these products, there's a field available called PR image that contains the path to the image for each one of the products. So since we have that in our database, I can just assign that to the field, and that will automatically bring in a dynamic image. Now one more thing, one more customization that I'll do here is let's change this category where the user had to actually type in a category ID and have to know the ID of the category. We can change that into a drop-down. So I'm going to remove the name that's to the side of it, expand this, and change it to a drop-down. And for populating the drop-down with information, there are several ways to do this, but the easiest way to do it is to go to this database-driven selection section, and I can specify a database file name, which in my case is cat P, or the category's physical file, and then I can just specify that the category name is what I want to display within the drop-down, and then the category ID is what I will send back to the RPG program. So after having made these changes, let me kind of align things. If I were to recompile everything and go back to the application, this is what I would get. So what I have here now is, instead of me having to type in a category, I can pick it from a drop-down box, and all of these have been added automatically. I didn't have to write any code to populate this box, or really no changes have yet been made to the RPG code. And then I can see that the images are showing for each of the products. So these are some very simple customizations, and I want to show you kind of like the next level and what, some other possibilities of what you can do. So just switching over to the Visual Designer, I want to just kind of show you that it is possible in this interface, for example, to do things like drag and drop, or to do things like adding grids side by side, and that's kind of exactly what I'm going to do. And really what I'm going to set up here is the ability for the user to drag records from one grid to the other, and this is going to be a grid of features so that we can compare product features one against the other. And it actually takes a few steps. It takes about 5 minutes, and I'm not going to go through all the motions. We've actually in another webinar demonstrated exactly how to do this type of thing. But just to show you where you can go and just to give you an idea, so by adding another grid and by adding the drag and drop capability, which is all part of the user interface, and then adding a small subroutine to the RPG code. So this is my additional lines of code that I've added to the original RPG program to load that second grid, and this is called when the drag and drop operation happens. So when I do this, and if I went through the steps to do this and I recompiled everything, here's what you could get. So I'm going to exit out, and I'm going to select this option here, and you can see the second grid has all of the features on the side here. And if I were to drag the products from one side to the other, we can now start comparing the different products. So if you can just envision that in the green screen application, in order to get this type of information, the user had to select each product individually and hit the F6 key and review the features, and then back all the way out and review the features of another product. Here the comparison, the ability to compare two products, has become much easier. So hopefully this was a good introduction on how to use Profound UI and RPG Open Access to integrate some of your refacing efforts and perform a conversion, and then add some new features, do some new development.